Hello everyone. It is so nice to see all of you here in Utö. And this is our last session for these 2 days intense meeting. And we will discuss today the stakeholder involvement to the research. I have to keep it short because we need to decrease our time for this last session to the 45 minutes. So I just want to say again, welcome and later, thank you, George. Okay. Thank you. Right. Good. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. I will try to introduce shortly our consortium. Symbiorem is a consortium of 50 partners around 7 countries, as you see, and we are devoted to the use symbiotic relationship between plants, microorganisms for develop technologies that enable the soil and ecosystem remediation. So to do that, we have developed 12 novel bio-based technologies and strategies, and we have plenty of sites all around Europe and also one site in US in which our technologies are being tested and tested by now. So about the strategies for contaminated soil, we have developed different strategies in biopile. We have made the isolation and identification of autochthonous strains, use it later to the soil remediation. We have developed a biostimulation strategy with microencapsulated nutrients, and we have tested this strategy both in microcosmos in semi-pilot scale, and we are ready to do it in pilot scale. We also have developed a nice bioremediation strategy in which our autochthonous microbiota is encapsulated in polysaccharides, and also we are developing a safe gene bioremediation in which we have construct a Pseudomonas aeruginosa ausotrophy, and we use it for the degradation of toluene. In addition, we have very nice strategy with phytoexpression, very good results by using water-absorbing geocomposites that have developed in the University of Wrocław in Poland. Also, we have tested electrophytoremediation strategies to improve the pH and hydrocarbon remediation for soil, and we are developing phytomanagement strategies to be used in saline rain water to improve to extract natural lactases from the guayule. These species are salt and boro tolerant, so we are very interesting for the agriculture or for agriculture soils. Moving on to water strategies and sediment strategies. So we have designed a cascade bioreactor system that has been tested here in the Baltic Sea, in which we are able to recover by this cascade strategy different metals and phosphorus that are variable, very interesting resources. Also, we have immersed active surfaces that have been used or have been combined with floating island, based on bacteria, yeast, and fungi, as you see in the photos. And all these techniques are going to be scaling up, as I'm going to describe later. Also, we have bio-based bioremediation solutions in which we are testing the use of fresh water mussels, and we succeed in the remediation of mixed contamination. As you see in the picture, we have do it in a lab scale, but actually we are doing that in mesocosmos scale in Poland. And we have finally a bio-based remediation technology for landfill leachate based on vertical technology. So once we have developed several techniques in both in lab scale and soil scale, in lab scale both for soil and for water, those best performing technologies have been scaling up or are going to be are now scaling up in mixed contamination. So we have now several full-scale sites in soil in Poland and Spain that we are working on, also in water in UK, in Poland, as you see, and we are going to have plenty of results. Finally, other big or strong area of our project is the trust building and the citizen engagement. That is why we are now here, to try to discuss about the engagement and the stakeholders. So we have many activities going on in different areas of Europe, and we have a strong relationship with the local communities and the local authorities and policymakers. So those are some achievements until now, and more or less this is all that we have been done in Symbiorem.
Thank you so much.
It was
Okay, so our next talk is coming from Ece, Robert, and Thomas. They will talk about the stakeholder-science collaboration insight from the Baltic Sea case.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, thanks. Okay. All of you have met us. You on the screen haven't met us, but the Foundation Initiativ Utö was founded in 2017, and we're a foundation for research, development, and education. Should stay there. We are building our reason why on 3 steps. We want to restore the biological balance in the Baltic Sea, because the Baltic Sea is in a flux. It's unwell. We do this by promoting knowledge and initiating collaboration with KTH, for example, in practical sustainability work, which is very important. Here we operate the test bed for research, product development, training, and maintenance of the initiatives that we do here. And why we do this is to make this initiative and all things we do scalable, and being able to multiply, to do something, to contribute to a more living and more healthier Baltic Sea. The problems occurred more than 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when we went from agriculture society to industrial society, which means that we have been overfishing for a long time. We switched to the modern agriculture, and we have made huge impacts on the fish habitats with all things that we're doing. So all in all, we have made it harder for the Baltic Sea to stay healthy. This is the sort of the target picture. This is what we want to accomplish. Today, we have lack of predatory fish, which means that we have too many small fishes like stickleback and other fishes like that, which loves to eat, the eggs and the yngel, the small guys, and the zoo eaters, the animals that keeps the bottom clean. We want to switch to this picture where we have the perfect amount of predatory fish, which keeps the white fish, the little fishes in balance, so that the zooplankton can stay healthy, and we therefore can have the seabeds and everything much cleaner. You can see it outside Söderfladen, which you visited today, that there is a change in the water quality and also the things that grows on the seabeds. Okay. Something is stuck. Okay, great. At Utö, we have initiated four different wetlands with different characters. This was the one that you visited today, Söderfladen, the South Bay, which is a full-scale wetland. We have also initiated 3 more. Here in the guest harbor, just down where we are gathered now, and further south where the military field is, and on a little island very close to it. That's 4 initiatives that have the same purpose, to restore the fish balance, to get more predatory fish. Okay, so what is a wetland? There are many definitions on what a wetland is, but our definition is that it has 3 goals. The first goal is this about the water that flows out and is full of nutrients. So the wetland is a purification step for phosphorus and nitrogens and other nutrients before they enter the Baltic Sea. And if you see here in the lower left corner, there is a first pond where the water that runs from the forest and the fields stops and loses very much of its phosphorus and its nutrients before it floats into the other sea or into the other bigger pond where the fishes live, which is the sort of the pike factory. Phosphorus is a big problem for the Baltic Sea. And now we have reached a stage where the phosphorus that lands on the seabeds consumes a lot of oxygen. And when the oxygen level goes to a very low level, the phosphorus is released again, and the Baltic Sea fertilizes itself. It calls internal load. And this is a cooperation between Initiativ Utö and KTH, and also constructed by an Austrian firm, right, which tries to take care of the internal load. And this raft, it's a raft we have, but the interesting thing is the technique. And we have been testing it, and we can see that the effect is very, very, very good. So when the algae bloom starts, when the water temperature rises above a certain level, it pumps all the time, every second hour, and we can measure the levels of phosphorus in the water, in the incoming water and the outgoing water, and the levels are very promising. This system works. And then to scale it up, well, how do we do that? Maybe we should make this raft much smaller so that we can have a grid of rafts, or maybe we should have like only pumps here that pumps up water on land and water a land-based farm. There are a lot of possibilities, but the system works. This is an example of the wetland that is at the pike factory. The pikes swims into the pike factory in late March, early April, stays there, and when the the pike babies are like 10, 12 centimeters. They're longer than the sticklebacks, and then we can release it. That's in the late June or early July. As you saw today, you who were there on site, you can see that it's a lot of green growing and other green stuff. You don't see that as a problem. We see it as a resource, something to do something with. And the reed is fantastic. If you treat it the right way, if you harvest it now and treat it the right way, it could be a fantastic thing to do things with. It could be used for feed for animals. It could be peat instead of peat when you have, make soil and so on. And it captures CO2, which is a good thing. And together with KTH, we're looking into that. What more can we do about it? We know that it's lactic acid could be found in it, and also silicon is in it. So reed is a fantastic thing to work with. We are in a project together with some other organizations, where Nordluft is one of them. We are trying to find ways of making the harvest more effective, less time consuming. And it's what it's all about is a drone that lifts like 40, 50 kilos and a cutting tool that can cut the reed, grind it and release it in a bag or in a container or something, so that we have the raw material for the things that I mentioned. This is something that we do, that Initiativ Utö is doing. We visited the forest wetland. We have in Sweden, as in many other countries, we have a problem or a challenge with the climate, with the weather. It rains more seldom, but when it rains a lot. And so our way of trying to solve this problem is to create ponds in the wood. This area, it's 6 ponds that supplies the main ditch with water that runs out in the wetland. And if we can buffer that water, we can release it in the way or in the pace that is okay, so that we can make it easier for the fish to wander into the wetland. And this water should, I mean, the levels of everything should be measured. So we have measuring points from here to here, and it's an interesting road. It's under a heavily traffic road. It passes a plant where there's a workshop and boats are fixed and so on, fields with horses on and so on. Yeah. That was the end of my story. So that is in short, what is Initiativ Utö? And we have had a cooperation with the KTH since 2019. I think it's 5 or 6 joint projects, and we are so happy to have the opportunity to collaborate with you. And we are very much looking forward for next step, and having you here is fantastic. So thank you.
And now I will talk about this. How do we collaborate with Initiativ Utö in this Symbiorem project? Robert mentioned a lot about the eutrophication, also that the contamination is a problem in the Baltic Sea. And Initiativ Utö has the test bed, and KTH has the solution. So how the collaboration started actually, we are like the puzzle pieces together. As Larry already mentioned about our project for the marine sediments, we're focusing on the marine sediment, and we have 2 different approaches. First one is for the phosphorus removal and the recovery, and the second one is also covers the metal recovery from the marine sediment. And at the end of the project, we aim to have like a it's not in pilot scale, it's developed scale, but our aim is have it in pilot scale in the future. And then at the end, have the healthy seawater for fish, also for the living organisms, and also have be able to produce raw materials from the sediment with economic value. And just I briefly talk about how our collaboration worked so far. And we had both shared vision actually. And the thing is, this is the make the Baltic Sea cleaner. So the second one is the communication really matters, because as researchers, we use a very different language when compared to the stakeholders. For example, if I say to Robert and Thomas said, the phosphorus concentration is like 100 milligram per liters in the seawater, but it may not be very good way to make the effect about this pollution. But if I say that the concentration, the phosphorus is too much, so it's like 10 times or 100 times higher than the allowable limits, then it makes sense. Then it makes much of the society and the citizens or the stakeholders can understand it better. So we have this we try to reduce this differences between the different languages, and we prioritize translating results into the clear and accessible forms. And also the communication matters in terms of reachability. So if you have a stakeholder, you send emails and we are trying to have the phone calls, but there's no one there, so it's a problem. But with what KTH and Initiative Utö we have like a clear communication. We are always reachable to each other, so we can always discuss about the progress of the project. So it was very important for our collaboration. And also we value each partner's expertise and perspective, because we just as I said, we are the puzzle pieces, and we just have a bigger picture with together. And also the flexibility was important, because in research we always fail in the laboratory, so stakeholders should be like a patient to see the results, and it takes some process. It's not like I found the solution and you can use it. You have to be patient. And finally, if we just, this is not the end, we have to collaborate more and make it further. First, for the looking ahead, we have the scaling up the solutions for real applications, of course. For the Symbiorem project, our aim is we will have the design of this phosphorus and metal recovery from the sediment, and in the future we will look for other fundings to apply it in the pilot scale. And also we are planning to work together for new ideas to develop. It's always in our agenda. And of course, expanding collaborations with new projects and including new stakeholders and new regions as well. And also we focus on fostering a continuous learning by sharing experiences with each other. So these are some bullet points that we are looking for the future collaborations. Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Robert and Ece. So we continue with another speaker, the Silly Shepherd from Peabody. She will talk about the stakeholder-science collaboration insight from the Leon Lake case.
Desiree, I think I'm just going to do an introduction before we bring her on.
Yeah.
Where can they see? Yeah.
Yeah, Can you hear us, Desiree?
I can hear you. I can't share though.
Yeah, I will just stop sharing here.
I can do the introduction whilst you do this.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. Okay, so we've got one of our brilliant stakeholders here to talk to you, so I'll let her have most of the time. But as an introduction, I just wanted to check that everybody understood the context within which we work with this particular stakeholder. Do you know, who knows what a river catchment is? Alex? Yeah. Tell the group, tell the class.
What's the river catchment? So it's the area around the river where the water from the rainwater and stuff like this comes up, and the groundwater, everything meets in the river basin. basically.
And it's usually named after the main river.
Yeah.
For which all the raw water will flow into. In the UK, we're split into, actually, I don't know how many, we're split into many catchments. And we, in Thames 21, we have a team that hosts these catchments. So it's their job to bring together stakeholders within a catchment, something that's called a catchment partnership, to work together for a shared vision of improving the space. So that's the context within which we work. For Galleons Lake, our site, for the London team, we're in a very sort of unique catchment called Marsh-Dykes and Thamesmead. It was marshland, it was built on marshland, I think it was in the 60s, whereby a lot of the marsh was drained and sort of put into concrete and now goes into the Thames estuary through sluices. I'm looking at this, so that's correct, yes. So as a catchment, it has a lot of unique challenges. It's also got a very specific demographic. I think it's one of the, some of the most deprived demographics in the country. So as a result, it has a very specific challenges that we come together with the other people in the catchment to work on. Thames 21 co-hosts this catchment with London Wildlife Trust. And recently this year, we have been coming together to decide our catchment action plan. What are our shared priorities for the catchment? Obviously, each actor has a slightly different agenda, that's normal, but how do we come together to decide those priorities to then work together on projects and measuring our success and using that measurement to adjust what we're doing? We've had 2 workshops now and we've got 1 more coming up, where we worked with our main actors in this catchment are the 2, you guys call them municipalities, we call them our kind of councils. So the borough is split into Greenwich and Bexley. These are the 2 local governments. Quite uniquely, we have Peabody, who are a housing association. I will let Desiree explain who they are. They're the landowners of Galleons Lake. We couldn't have done this project without them, and they have been really great partners to work with, and it's the kind of thing we would like to see happen. It's made this possible, so we would like to see it happen across London more. There's also the Environmental Agency. We've also got Thames Water, who are a water company, and other NGOs like us, like Wildlife Trust and Thames Rivers Trust. So that gives you the context within which we have our stakeholder Peabody and Desiree from Peabody, who's very kindly joined us. And I'll hand over to you, Desiree.
Oh, great. Thank you, Rosa. I hope you can all hear me all right. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Desiree Shepherd. I'm the Public Realm and Landscape Manager here at Peabody, a leading housing association. And just a little bit about myself. In my role, I have the privilege of enhancing a variety of green and blue spaces within our communities. And the goal being really to foster a sense of community and well-being through thoughtfully designed spaces. So I'm really excited to be here today to share some insights from our Galleons Lake project. I thought it would be just useful to set the context before I say a little bit more about the projects and why we've chosen to work with Thames 21. So who's Peabody? We are the oldest non-for-profit housing association in London, founded back in 1862. So our main focus is on affordable and social housing, and we manage well over 100,000 homes, which serves around about 220,000 people. So in addition to the housing stock, we also maintain community facilities, parks, play spaces, and waterscapes. We also invest in significant housing schemes, for example, in Thamesmead, which is one of our biggest regeneration schemes. So in Thamesmead, Rosa just touched on that a little bit. It's an area in the southeast of London. It's roughly the same size as the centre of London. It's about 750 hectares in size, and Peabody owns and manages about 65% of it. Within this area, we have 7 kilometers of canals, 5 lakes, 240 hectares of green space, all stuff that we own and manage. So for Thamesmead, we have this 30-year vision, and we plan to bring forward 20,000 new homes. And really, our mission here for Thamesmead is to enhance and grow Thamesmead and to look after it for the long term, which brings me on to Galleons Lake project and our workings. Oh, I think I've just, yeah, okay. So Galleons Lake, this is what the picture in front of you is what the lake looked like before we started the project. It suffered from significant pollution coming in from the upper catchment, which is around about this point here. And the lake is well used by local fishing communities, and we received several complaints about the water quality of the lake and the high silt levels and sick fish. So we decided we needed to collaborate with an organization with the right skill sets to tackle this issue. And we decided to join forces with Thames 21 and to draw on their expertise to bring forward an innovative and cost-effective ecological solution whilst keeping the community engaged and at the forefront of the scheme. We then set up a number of agreements with the various parties to deliver the scheme. So what you see here is the 2,500 square meter wetland system that we created in the lake using an interconnected series of pools that act as a natural filtration system to deal with the pollution and silt entering into the lake. As part of our engagement plan, we had help from the local residents to plant up the floating islands and reed beds. And in addition to creating these wetlands, we also, in the neighboring parkland of this lake, we transformed an area by planting native meadows together with the local schools, further boosting the biodiversity in this area. Sorry, it just seems to be stuck at the minute. There we go. So our collaborative working with Thames 21 and ourselves, we came up with a engagement plan that included several means of engagement methods. We did surveys, questionnaires, door knocking, letter drops to explain the project and to gather feedback from everyone. We hosted planting events, and we also engaged people to help with water quality testing through the ongoing monitoring. The engagement process also included our maintenance team, which you can see here on the slide, ensuring that they were involved with the delivery of the scheme, which helped with taking ownership of the scheme and explaining why we are making the changes and the reasons for the installation. They could then use this knowledge to share with the residents as they were usually the first point of contact for residents in the long run. So one of the earlier challenges we had to overcome was the initial skepticism of the local angling club. They feared that this project might limit their fishing activities. However, once the club understood that the restoration aimed to improve the water quality and therefore the fish health, they became our strong supporters of the initiative and came out to help out with our events and so on. Also, initial responses showed that whilst local residents had a positive connection to this lake, there was some misconception what clean water was, because soon after the project was completed and after the first flush of rain, a misunderstanding about the wetland system led to complaints from our residents about the terrible state of the first pool at the inlet, which needed us to explain again how the filtration system worked, and that it was in fact doing a great job filtering out pollutants to ensure cleaner water entered into the rest of the lake. So education is really essential component of the project, helping the community to understand the interventions and the long-term benefits. The scientific evidence now being collated through a monitoring program led by Thames21 also certainly helps to communicate these benefits more effectively. So a few lessons from the project. So in the beginning, it was a challenge to work out how we would work collaboratively, right from the feasibility all the way through design, raising funds to deliver through the delivery and monitoring of the projects. And once we worked this out together, this was then formalized into a number of agreements, setting out what each party would contribute and what their role would be, which was key to ensure the successful delivery of the scheme. However, I think the engagement plan supported by a communication strategy was the glue that kept the project together, which everyone collaborated on. And then finally, just some key takeaways. I think just having thought about how this project came to being such a success, I think never try and rush the project. To make a big impactful change, you need commitment and investment and time to do so. Our shared outcomes are more impactful working in collaboration and building partnerships. Working on partnerships enabled also a wonderful and meaningful opportunity to raise additional funding that we otherwise would not have been able to do so on our own. Making sure that those who will take on the maintenance are engaged earlier on in the process, ensuring long-term stewardship. So often we deliver projects without including a monitoring element. So the evidence that we're starting to collect now will help us to adjust management regimes and will help to highlight issues or successes. And I think lastly, I think we shouldn't be afraid to try out new ways of doing things. So we just got to be ambitious and brave to take on these new approaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. So we have a couple of minutes for some questions if you have, and the discussion.
Sure.
So stay first now.
Also from the chat. Yes.
Initiative Utö, did you face any challenges in the collaboration continuation?
Of course not.
No, of course not. Let's say the level of our knowledge in chemistry and biology, biology, we had to raise. So we did it. I went to the shop and bought 2 books. Chemistry 1 and so then we could speak. Yeah. No, it's not the cooperation of the great.
But maybe I can reflect from my side. The collaboration is great, and Utö is really very exciting testbed for us. We can do many things, but it is not easy to find a finance to continue collaboration. So always you need a big grants to do something, such a places, because we are not talking about 100 milliliter lab scale some things. So I think the financing part is a challenging for both sides. Yeah, this is the maybe just a reflection from KTH side.
Perhaps for the POD, how challenging is to the war between times, perhaps if you get the involvement of the university or research, having this multi-focus on recovering the system, make it science, improve the environment, and show how is the challenge, how is the speaking between different actors involved in the initiative. Because it's, for me, for example, as a university professor and teacher, from time to time it's challenging to speaking with a stakeholder I'm not very used to, and I don't know if the same challenge is in the other side, from the stakeholder speaking with the universities of NGOs or so. I have frozen. Yeah. Desiree, can you hear? Did you hear?
Sorry, if you can just repeat the question.
Yeah, easily. How challenging is the conversation between different actors involved in the initiative? I mean, stakeholders, NGOs, university, citizens. It's a super big challenge, as I think that is. Or I am wrong, or what is your point of view on that?
It is. It can be very challenging, and that's why I think I make the point. I think it's something, a project like this to engage, never should be rushed. Because initially, if you just delivered the solution without engaging, without bringing people along, you could move, quite quickly. You can do your 6 months and you in and out, you've delivered your project. But the challenge is always to bring people along with what you're doing, and to make sure that people understand what you're doing. So you do have to set up various means. And as Rosa, I think, described our situation, where we have the catchment management group, which is a fantastic group that has many different stakeholders serving on it, that has an interest in this particular catchment. It makes the conversation, I think, a lot easier to have with those stakeholders across the board. And then, of course, a landowner like ourselves who generally engage with community groups, makes it a good partner for the catchment to then have that way in with the local community groups. But alongside that, we are working with a great partner, Thames 21, who know exactly how to engage local groups in water discussions. So for us, it just all worked out quite well. And then having a contractor on board, and people who could also explain what they're doing on site and things like that is a great way of doing stuff. So I hope I'm sort of answering your question, but in our situation, I think having that catchment group with a dedicated host, bringing all parties together at that high level, I think was a key step for this project, and all the little projects that we've been since engaged with this group from there on. I don't know if Rosa has got any more to add to that.
I think you summed it up perfect.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Then I just want to thanks to everyone, all the contributions, your hosting and the sharing the experience. It was so nice, 2 intense day. I just thanks to everyone participating all of these discussions, and thank you. And have a nice.
It's also for us.